I think that's giving them too much of an easy out.
I'm not looking to give them an out. I'm just trying to understand how we got here. But what else are they supposed to do now that we're here?
To not cancel the studio in the first place. That's all you can do.
But they have to, or else
they do not have. No. They do not
or
have
else
to.
The whole
they do not
ship
have
goes,
to.
Who
This is entire
else gets cut? Who else is going to get cut? Connor, let's move on to the Xbox game showcase, which I think we can both agree was by far the best showcase of the season so far.
It had your attention from beginning to end.
Yeah, just jam-packed with games, great pace. Sure, we're going to bring Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty out, they are going to talk a little bit, but they're going to come in and out really quickly. And, we're going to keep the camera moving on them so that, you're not getting bored and so forth. I think Xbox has been on a great run with their showcases lately, and this is the best of it. This is the absolute peak.
You're absolutely right, but they are the worst on this entire Summer Games Fest because they've been getting a lot of flack for some studios they canceled recently.
Well, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And PlayStation's closing studios too. Let's not act like
Yeah,
but it's just like Xbox hurts.
The most egregious one because all the other stuff you can rationalize to a certain extent, but going to Tango Gameworks, the creators of Hi-Fi Rush, before then Evil Within, which has all gotten good receptions, but commercially successful was Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
And it still got the axe.
Yeah.
And I bring this up again because there were comments that were made by Phil Spencer, where he was
interviewed at SGF for this.
The crowd, I'll say beforehand, the crowd cheered into his response to the question that was asked. Every single one of those people is a brain-dead fucking idiot. I hate every single person that cheered in his response.
They cheered to his response?
Yes.
Okay.
It was literally most generic. Sometimes
it was
we
lip
do
service.
things.
It was lip service for sure.
And the problem with that is he tried to hide in a hole, Phil Spencer. Sometimes we have to make decisions, and
I'm not going to go that. I'm not going to go that hard.
Let's not say hide in a hole. Let's say give a stupid, pathetic answer. Because
I'm not even going that harsh.
I will definitely go that harsh because he just completely acts like, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. That was his reaction to a game that has, by no metric that anybody can see, had any reason to be canceled other than they paid a bunch for Blizzard's acquisition and they needed to make cuts. And that's not a proper answer for anybody.
I agree with your overall message. I just don't agree with the sentiment. I do believe him when he says, hey man, this was hard. We didn't like to do it. We didn't want to do it. I believe him when he says that. But how do you respond to that situation? What do you say there to be like, oh, yes, absolutely.
Extremely easy. So you bring up the fact that other game studios that got closed at the same time were ones that hadn't had very, not well-received games, but financially successful games. They had the big fail with Redfall, obviously.
So you're just really upset that... Well, yeah, but Arcane Austin also made great games before that. So one failure dictates the survivability of your studio?
It's a failure that happened, and then when was the last time they substantially made a game? It was Prey? I believe it was Prey.
They are Prey, and I think the first Dishonored.
Which, the first Dishonored obviously makes sense, but Prey, my understanding is that it didn't make that much money.
Yeah.
So these things you can say, okay, from a business perspective, the response he gave would work for something like that. Because, games fail, and in game studios where you have to hit with a lot of your games.
But also, you have to remember, the year before, Tango Gameworks had a flop.
They did.
Ghostwire Tokyo, it was a flop. We're still working within those realms. Evil Within was liked, but I wouldn't argue beloved, and it wasn't the most successful franchise of all time.
No, it was not.
So, but Hi-Fi Rush did great, yes. But how many people bought it as opposed to going through Game Pass? How much revenue did it actually generate?
Well, see, once again, that comes up because they gassed it up. They talked about how successful it was and how good it was.
Because it was their only win that year.
Exactly. So when you do something like that and then you close it later on, the generic response of you got to make hard decisions, cuts have to be made, doesn't work because it doesn't apply to that specific situation.
Yes. I think that's because Xbox has a problem of talking too much. Shut the fuck up, Xbox. Stop fucking talking.
But that's the thing. All of this is they talk too much, so that's why we give them a little bit of an out. Or, hey, you just messed up with a PR move. I think that's giving them too much of an easy out. Just it hands it to them basically. You have to get a different response.
I'm not looking to give them an out. I'm just trying to understand how we got here.
Yeah, which there was no explanation of that at all. It was the generic.
Well, I think part of the reason there's so much outrage is because they keep talking about how much they care about their studios, how much they want to keep building their studios and their IPs up, and support the artistry of game making. They keep talking about these things. The reason we don't like when any of these studios have to get closed or layoffs hit or anything. Of course, we don't like those things. But the reason we're not so mad at a PlayStation for doing it or a Ubisoft for doing it or an EA for doing it is because they shut the fuck up and they stop talking about how much they want to build up their studios and support them. They turn into these corporate stooges, which we also don't like, but it doesn't invoke outrage when the business part comes in. And unfortunately, Xbox has put themselves in a position where they have made themselves too valuable under the umbrella of Microsoft with the giant purchase of Activision Blizzard King. And so now Microsoft is being more hands-on. So now that we have to make these cold business decisions, and of course nobody likes it because Phil Spencer keeps marketing himself as the likable, hey, I'm for the people guy. Well, guess what? When a huge super business turns into a super business, you can't be the nice, super nice, personable for the people guy. You can't be that guy. So yeah, we backlash and we say, fuck you, Xbox, for doing this after saying this, that, and the third. But if they never said this, that, and the third, we would still be upset, but it wouldn't be outrage. And you wouldn't be sitting here calling Phil Spencer a coward because of these things. But what the fuck, we don't like that Herman Hulst is doing Herman Hulst shit either. You know? I'm just saying, I'm not trying to cut them slack. I'm just trying to find the understanding of why we are here and why we as an audience feel the way we feel. I'm right here with you, where I don't like it either. And I'm upset and enraged. I said it on this podcast also. But what else is Phil supposed to say when he's asked this question?
I think your point makes sense in the context of Phil Spencer as a figure, like comparing him to Herman Hulst.
Yeah.
Herman Hulst doesn't get up there, so he doesn't have the face to attack as much.
Or when he does, it's just, this fucking business stooge.
Yeah, because it translates to PlayStation, Sony as a whole.
Yeah.
But going back to those games when they close studios, there isn't such a clear-cut case of massive success and then closing it a year later.
I don't think Hi-Fi Rush was as successful as Xbox wanted us to believe it was.
That's their fault then. And they never.
I agree. It is their fault. But what else are they supposed to do when they're fighting the FTC, when Redfall is a huge flop, and Xbox sales are down? What else are they supposed to do other than big up the one win they had that year?
But that also doesn't make sense for a couple of reasons. First of all,
and Starfield was middling.
Well, you would think that that's a reason to keep on pumping into it, something that works. But they didn't do that. They closed it down. And other studios don't have, even if you say, okay, we don't know how successful it was, that also feeds into the PR stuff.
But also, let's be honest. Xbox did not buy Bethesda and take, who owns Bethesda? Tango?
ZeniMax?
No, ZeniMax. Did not buy ZeniMax for Tango Gameworks. They didn't. That's not why they bought them.
No.
They bought them for the Bethesda Game Studio games, Machine Games, and id. Those are the reasons you buy ZeniMax, is for those reasons. All the other guys, I'm not trying to be demeaning here, but they kind of do fall to the wayside when you start looking at your biggest prospects here. I'm sorry. Listen, I wanted Hi-Fi Rush to be the next big Xbox franchise. I wanted Shy to be the face of Xbox for the next decade. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. It didn't do enough. What is enough? I don't know. It's fucked up that we're here. I hate that we're here. This industry is due for a crash. It's unfortunate, and there's going to be more heartbreak to come. But what is Xbox leadership supposed to do in this position? Now, I agree with you. They put themselves in that position. But what else are they supposed to do now that we're here?
To not cancel the studio in the first place. That's all you got to do.
But they have to, or else
they do not have. No. They do not have to.
They
do not have to.
This is entirely irrespective of
who else
is going to get caught.
Like you said, Machine Games. They haven't made shit. They haven't proven themselves in any way substantially.
Machine Games made 2 fantastic Wolfenstein games and is now working on Indiana Jones
with Microsoft.
Yes. What is Tango Gameworks working on? A Hi-Fi Rush 2? Hey, great. The Gamepass advertisement gets a sequel. Awesome. Game Pass has reached its peak on Xbox in terms of subscribers. PC is not growing as fast as they wanted to. It's just not bringing in enough revenue.
See,
it's just not.
feeds into
So
it
what
again
are they
because
supposed to do?
We just sat through a showcase. How often did they say Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass? So you say something like that.
No. Now you're putting words in my mouth. I'm also going to criticize them for that. As amazing as this fucking showcase was, and the pacing was great, and we saw some great games.
But you can't criticize them for that.
Let me get it out. 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 Let me get it out.
You cut me off multiple times a second ago.
But let me get it out because I'm not done with this sentence yet. The quadrupling down on Game Pass is a continued pattern of failure. My dog is crying because we're yelling at each other.
Yeah.
The quadrupling down on Game Pass is them repeating this same mistake that they're still doing. They are not turning the ship around, and they probably should. My only point in all of this is I agree. That quote that Phil Spencer gave to that question sucks. It's trash. It's lip service, and it doesn't mean anything. What else is he supposed to say?
Nothing. He can't say anything.
But he has to, right? Because he's the face of the company, and they're going to ask him this question because Ryan McCaffrey, who gave the interview, is a good fucking reporter and does his fucking job. It sucks. I hate that we're here, but I'm not gonna trash on Phil Spencer for this. For this quote. I'm gonna trash on him for doubling down on these systems that don't work. But now that we're here, well, fuck, man, what are you gonna do? He's choosing to commit to his ideas. Or Microsoft is. Whoever is behind the scenes making these choices are choosing to commit. Because they probably have to. I don't know what other direction they can go in. Because if you kill the Game Pass program or make it less interesting, you're going to lose subscribers. Or you're going to lose that source of revenue. And now you're in an even worse position because the thing that is keeping the ship afloat right now is gone. I don't know what Xbox is supposed to do here. I don't. I'm not a business guy. I don't know their numbers and stuff. I hate that Tango Gameworks is gone too. I hate it. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. The game won all the awards in the world. It brought in Game Pass subscribers, 3 million plus players, and it wasn't enough? Fuck you. Critical acclaim out the ass in a generation, in 2 generations where you've had nothing. Fuck! I hate that we're here too, but this is where we are. So what do we do? Unfortunately, Tango Gameworks gets the axe. Because they're not id, because they're not Machine, because they're not Bethesda Game Software.
I guess if there is going to be something, this would be for people that would interview Phil Spencer, though it might hurt your chance of interviewing him. Just question every single time they gas up a new game: is this one secure? Is this one safe?
Which one?
Anything.
Oh, any of them?
Anything.
The answer to that question, Connor, is no, unless you're one of the big guys. Hey, the other Arcane, if Blade fails, the other Arcane studio is gone too. That's the way this works.
So I guess my one request for anyone that would listen is relevant people.
That argument might catch some. I'm breaking that out. Best believe.
Oh, really? You break. Of course, you break this down.
Yeah.
But maybe just keep pushing it every single time. When it comes to these situations, if they're going to gas it up as much as they have, well then, gas up the issue at hand, which is you continuously closing studios. Cast down on every single thing they say, even if it's just to annoy the hell out of them. That's bad coverage for them and may influence their decision out for what they do with future projects or studios they currently have.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't like. I would feel like I would always have a target on my back if I was a dev studio under Microsoft Game Studios right now, because they have proven to us that Xbox, it's not enough just to bring in numbers. It's not enough to be critically acclaimed. You have to be Starfield, Call of Duty, Blade. And what do we do in that position? There's nothing you can do in that position. And it fucking sucks. I'm nervous about Ninja Theory after Hellblade 2. Now, I think the only thing that gives them any credit is that Hi-Fi Rush was not an Xbox game. I know it came out on the Xbox and was exclusive, but it didn't start development under Xbox. It was not a Phil Spencer brainchild. Hellblade 2 was. So maybe that will give Ninja Theory some credence in order to continue their conversation. You know what I'm saying? Or to continue the business of their studio and so forth. Despite, hey, guess what? It's not a hit. Like, nobody's talking about it. So, yeah. I think hopefully it just being a studio under Xbox with a identity that Xbox has cultivated now will give them that amount of credit. Tango Gameworks wasn't that. Tango Gameworks had Hi-Fi Rush already in the oven when they were acquired, and they said, hey, look what we have, and Microsoft said, that's great, let's do it. Let's keep running with that. Let's get it out. Great, it's successful. That's fantastic. We have to make hard choices. We don't like that. We have to do this, and so this is what we're doing. I don't agree with it either, but this is where we are. Mm-hmm. We can't shut down Ninja Theory. They're about to put out Hellblade 2, and this game was really expensive. Really expensive.
I hope they do something different.
Yeah.
Because Hellblade, I don't think as a franchise is sustainable.
I also want to be clear to the people at home watching us. When we start yelling at that, we're not mad or angry at each other. We're just very passionate, and we want this medium to continue under a better way.
Though I do hate Phil Spencer. He can kick rocks.
Not going that far, but I'm extremely disappointed in Phil Spencer, and the excuses have run themselves dry.
I just get angry at snakes who try to smile in your face and then do scummy things.
I don't think Phil Spencer is that.
I think that when you get to a position like he's in,
yeah,
you either become a snake, a wormy guy, or you leave. And I think he's made his bed. I'm assuming it's.
But what about the guy? What about the guy who's trying to double down and get it? And working every day to get it to work against the system that is corrupt.
As in, like Phil Spencer?
I think Phil Spencer is that guy who is trying to make it work under the system that is broken and corrupted.
Yeah, I don't give him enough credence for that. He'd be a lot. I feel like he'd be a lot more.
I also don't think he's the. I'm not sure he's. I don't think he's the best guy to be put in that position. But I don't know who else you do, because whoever else you put in that position is going to be the snake that you're talking about.
Every Xbox person, Matt Booty. Sarah Bond.
I think they're all like that. All the big three of Xbox, they are all people who are trying their best to get this ship to work the way it needs to work. But I don't know if they have a good answer.
That might be the case, but that's putting trust in the hands of a guy in a business suit or a woman in a business suit. And
I trust all three of these people more than a Yves Guillemot, a Herman Holst, all of them. PlayStation got rid of all of their faces that we liked. The Sean ladies and what's the other guy? I've forgotten his name, but they've gotten rid of all the people that we like. And now they're just corporate stooges. Nintendo has been a corporate stooge for all of its life. And so yeah, you just look around and you go, fuck. I guess we'll go with this team. I don't know what the answer is here, Connor. I don't, but I'm not.
Kevin,
I'm not going to be mad at the human element of it.
No, Kevin, that's the answer. You have to hate on things. Hate is how things continue.
Let's talk about this fucking showcase. We're going to zoom through this because that took up a lot of time.